just my thoughts. As always, please like and subscribe, share with a friend, a colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, any and all in between. It's appreciated. Apologies for the late start today. Had to keep pushing the time back. As most of you know, this puppy is unpredictable and his timings are just not what they need to be. He is getting better with his routine and he's usually asleep by now, to be fair. But yeah, today, different story. I don't know. He's got a cooling mat. Well, he got two of them. One of them he decided to bite the shit out of yesterday after I just bought it. And he was trying to do the same to this one. So yeah, I'm gonna have to work on that destructive behavior. Outside of that, though, everything else is fine. But yeah, let's start off with the weekend's action. I've literally just as I've started this recording, just finished the Shakan Pitters and Brad Ray fight because I didn't get to see the whole thing earlier on. So I guess I'll start immediate reactions from that. I predicted that Shakan Pitters would win the fight. I think the naturally bigger guy. I know he's never been a guy that can that uses his attributes well, but you would have thought that facing a guy that's come up from middleweight, you should be able to impose your size and your will, and he did so for maybe sort of rounds 5 to 8, 5 to 9. A lot of good body shots, but one thing is definitely established: he does not have power, which is understandable. Being 6'6" and draining yourself down to 175. It would be interesting to see what he would have been like at cruiserweight. But yeah, look, congratulations to Brad Ray. Fought the right fight. He played the inside much better than Shakan did, which is obviously you would make sense. Him being the smaller guy, you would expect him to be able to play the inside a lot better. Banked those early rounds, and then subsequently decided to finish the fight strong. So, congratulations, he's the new EBU European champion. I guess we have to wait and see what he now does, if he wants to stay champion, if he wants to try and parlay that into maybe a title shot if the belts start to fragment. Be interesting. But yeah, outside of that, look, we had the Deontay Wilder versus Tyrell Herndon. I think you guys would have seen weekend wrap. I predicted, not weekend wrap, sorry, basis picks. I said, look, that needs to be a 1 round job at I said 2 rounds, maximum 3. Anything more than that, and we just see how much further Deontay Wilder has declined. And 7 rounds, I've still not seen the entire fight, but I've seen enough of some of the rounds, plus the way it was stopped. Now, to be fair, the jab was quite effective. I will give him a bit of credit on that jab. And the left hook looked like it was tightened up a little bit compared to... Because he always used to he used to always be the jab, the straight right, and then maybe bring the left hook behind it. But it did look a lot tighter, a lot neater than it's been previously. So I will give him some credit for that. But everything else, the athleticism, the snappiness, the spring, even the punch power, like the speed, nothing looked on point. Now, you might say there's a bit of ring rust in there, quite possibly. Well, yeah, I would say there should be, but for a guy that was, for the most part, sitting on the ropes just waiting for you to land, yeah, there was some evading that he was trying to do, but he was pretty much just sitting on the ropes, tucking up. For the guy that's supposed to be like the hardest puncher of this era, this generation, it just goes to show, like I've been said from time, the power was always overrated. And now that he ain't got that snappiness and that, that explosiveness, and he's not fighting people, I guess, that are just willing to stand right in front of you all night long, you see what you see. But there's supposed to be another tune-up fight in South Korea, I think. Now they say they got an opponent for him. I would be very interested because you know, I followed the heavyweight division quite a bit and cruiserweights as well. I don't know of any heavyweights or cruiserweights that are in South Korea or any of the Asian markets besides Zhang Zhilei. Um, so I guess it will be interesting to see who the second tune-up is against. But then they say they want a big fight at the start of next year, which okay makes sense. I could understand a Joshua or another fight, but whoever it will be, I'm pretty sure it would be the cash out fight of Wilder's career. But wait and see. I guess we'll find out. Um, what else was on over last weekend? There was well, there was a bunch of small horse shows, which I didn't partake in, so I can't really give any comments on those. I still haven't watched the Jake Paul Chavez event as a whole, but I've seen enough of the fights or the talking points. Um, Holly Holm coming back, after 12, 13 years, doing MMA rather than boxing. Shout outs to her, salute to her. Every single card, I think she whitewashed the opponent 10-0. Supposed to be, tough Mexican, but had only ever fought in Mexico, 10-0. So you would normally think durable, hard, but she just did not have the skills and the wills to be able to compete with Holly. Now, being 43 would be an interesting thing when it comes time to face like the more battle tested and the more hardened opponents. And from what I've been hearing, I think that the next plan that they're trying to make is her versus Stephanie Hahn. Now, Beatrice Ferreira and Stephanie Hahn did a face off, and they was looking towards putting that fight together. But Holly Holmes definitely has a bigger name, bigger profile. So I would not be surprised if she usurps Beatrice to that. We already know that Caroline Dubois will elect to not take that fight unless it's for undisputed. She said that she wants that fight to be for all the belts. Terry Harper's called out Caroline Dubois. Caroline Dubois called out Terry Harper. So probably they will end up being busy with each other, which will kind of leave Beatrice on the sidelines. But none of that is Holly Holmes' problem. Like she will be the money of the lightweight division until she decides to call it a day. Now, first fight on the main broadcast: Floyd Schofield Jr. versus Tevin Farmer. Now, I predicted that Schofield would win, but I said it would be a split decision, and I was even intimating that it might be a bit of a possibly a hometown decision. Golden Boy fighter, Tevin pushing him sort of hard, making him work, but Floyd just sort of not coasting on the cards, but just getting a bit favorable treatment. Well, boy, I was wrong, and I think everyone else was as well, because he put on a destructive one-round performance. Now, Tevin Farmer complained that the referee waved it off. He got dropped twice. Did take a big shot in the third one, but we all know Tevin. He'll get hit, and if he gets that chance to, it would have been interesting to see had the ref had allowed that moment, because he looked like he was about to step forward to try to clinch. If he had got through that first round, it would have been interesting to see what happened next. Because remember, I think it was either the first or the second round in the Zepeda rematch, where he had a very similar moment where he looked like he was about to get laid out, managed to get through that moment, and then took everything else on afterwards. So disappointing for Tevin. And obviously, with the other previous three defeats that he had, you could say that he ran them very close. They could have been controversial. So there's a reason that you kind of carry on. Say, all right, he said he's going to be a world champion again. Now, after this knockout loss, I mean, he'll have minimum 3-month protocol before he's even allowed to start training again. Although you might break that, but it will be interesting to see if he now decides that, you know what, if I'm getting caught and dealt with by, this, like the young whippersnappers, as he might look at it, maybe this ain't the maybe it's time for me to now bow out gracefully. So I wouldn't be surprised if he decided to call it a day after that defeat. Um but if he didn't, I mean, look, there's still some people he can give some good work to in that lightweight division. But I guess, do you just want to always now be the guy that's taking on the new crop? I'm sure he'd rather take on, like, the bigger names, or the names from his background. The one A fight that I actually think would be good for him would be oh, what's the guy's name? Why is his name just gone out of my Emmanuel Navarrete against Kevin Farmer at 135. I actually think that would be a really good fight. Tevin obviously likes to stay in the pocket, but Navarrete has just got that awkward, weird style. And I know he went back down to 130, but it'd be interesting to see what he kind of could do if he goes back up to 135. Obviously, he'll love not having to cut that extra 5 pounds. Yeah, it'll look soft and fleshy around the middle, but I guess that's the trade off for Floyd Schofield. Now, him and Mama Sko, they, well, I'd say more Mama Sko than him, but he was obviously speaking about how his he had some dark moments and times, especially after the pulling out of the fight with Shakur Stevenson. Um, he's talking about he was in a dark place. It was bad for him, etc. Now, I always said, and I said it on Fight Talk Live the other day, so shout out to anyone who watched that. I've got no issues with Junior as such, although I can't say that you weren't complicit in the pullouts of the three fights that you've had pullouts from. But I will say, just for the fact of, because we hear so much from Senior, I'm gonna assign, let's say if we're assigning percentages, I'll say 75 to 80%. I'm assigning to Schofield Senior as to why these fights ain't happening, and why people are now starting to look at your son funny. Junior get 20%, but Senior, I feel like he's got to take a strong 80 on that one. Now, Senior saying that they want Shakur, they want Kur again. So I guess we'll have to wait and see if they get that. I don't think that will happen. I think Shakur has already said, I ain't about to waste my time with them again. So it will be interesting to see what he does after the Zepeda fight, should he be victorious, which is obviously a strong should, because there's definitely not a foregone conclusion. Although I definitely see the ways how he makes that a fairly comfortable fight for himself and his legacy. But outside of that, well, if if you're Floyd Schofield, maybe if you can't get Shakur next, you know what you do? You wait for the winner of Abdullah Mason and Sam Noakes. Call out the winner. See what they say. I think that would be a very interesting scenario. Um, there was the Avius Griffin versus, was it Julius Rodriguez, I believe his name, or Julian Rodriguez. I'd never heard of either prior to that bout, but I definitely want to see Rodriguez the next fight, and I'm gonna have to go back and do um, some film study, some search of any previous fights, because he's definitely got that power. I'm probably gonna have to watch the Alexis Rocha fight from him again. I don't remember seeing it, and I've seen quite a few of Rocha's fights, at least like 7 of the last 10, but I don't remember that fight. So I'm gonna have to check and see what it was looking like, how we ended up losing, because I believe he got stopped in the 8th round or something, TKO. So I don't know if he was stopped on the feet, referee waved it off, stopped because of cuts. I'm not sure. So I'll definitely check that one out and find out. But they were in the they was in the welterweight division, so I guess does that line him up now maybe for a Rolly Ramirez shot when he gets elevated up to WBA champ when Boots officially, I guess, vacates the belt. That would be interesting. Outside of that, obviously, you could go the IBF route. The WBC is Mario Barrios and Pacquiao, so he won't get a look in anywhere around that division. I mean, that belt. And the WBO is Brian Norman. So, I mean, I guess there's a potential you could do that one after the Haney fight, depending on who wins. But, yeah. Um, Raul Curiel also on the card. Good victory for him. So the Ramirez, I still haven't seen the full fight, but from what I have seen, it did look a bit ho hum. Zerdo won it. I feel like he won it convincingly, but it definitely looked like he was struggling to keep up the pace he's normally used to keeping up. Like he looked much better in the Bill and Smith fight and the Gulamarian fight, but in this one, he just, from what I saw, like I said, I haven't seen the whole thing, but he just looked like there wasn't really as much snap on his punches as there should be. Um, just looked a little bit laborious, maybe methodical. Maybe that was the game plan, like not to do anything crazy, just to get through it and then on to the next, possibly. So maybe I'll give some consideration to that. But you know, Ajay Patel, who's, well, in the UK terms, it was his birthday, or it is his birthday today. I guess in Australia or New Zealand terms, it was his birthday yesterday. So shout out to Jai, just turned 30, the big 3-0. But he put out a statement straight after the fight. Him and his manager, oh sorry, his manager Mick Francis, oh manager slash promoter, and yeah, basically saying, look, so though it's time to make these unifications. Now, from what I remember, they said that they were looking to attend the fight. They were going to go and actually fly over to when did the fight take place? Was it Vegas? Yeah, I believe so. They were supposed to fly over there and I guess try to get in the ring and start negotiations that way. Now I haven't seen the broadcast. I don't know if they were in attendance. But it would be interesting to find out what happened as to if they weren't there, why they didn't attempt to pull up and make it I guess make it a bit of a spectacle. I guess we'll find out in due course. But they both said, look, let's stop all the foolishness. Like, let's make the fight. Zerdo, he said, look, I'll fight anyone. But, Jake said he wants a bit of the smoke. So I'm happy to look at that situation. I doubt that will happen next. I think more than likely, and it's a bit crazy that it has to be Turkey Al Sheikh that's got to put these things together. The chances are he will pony up the money to make that fight. And to be fair, Zerdo gets paid a lot, especially in relation to a lot of the actual quality or the caliber of fight he's actually had. Minus obviously a couple, but I know Jair Patel would quite happily take the short end of the stick in that bout if it meant obviously just making the fight happen. We've already seen he was willing. He offered Chris Billum Smith, like, I think it was 20 or 30% from his purse to make the fight happen several times before. He will, then it comes to, whose name is first on the poster, who ring walks first, and so, like, we all know that he's not going to haggle over that stuff if it's going to be deal breakers. All right, cool. My name will go second. I'll ring walk first. No problem. Let's just get in the ring. Let's fight. So I want to see what Zerdo does as his next step. It's a shame that the Badu Jack and Noah Gavor fight has been rescheduled, because if it wasn't for that, sorry, not rescheduled, the rematch has been ordered. If it wasn't for that, then, I guess both of them, both Zerdo and Opataya, would have the option of not having to ultimately rely on each other for their next big fight or their next big opportunity. It's fair to say Badu Jack's probably the weakest champion of the division currently. Just someone who wasn't a natural cruiserweight, similar to Zerdo, to be fair, to start off with, but fairly inactive. One fight in the last 3 years, I think it was, or maybe two fights in the last three. Um, but he's a wily old veteran, and I would still pick him to maybe not cause upsets, but to give anyone a hard night's graft if they can't get him out of there in the first couple of rounds. But yes, so that obviously takes us on to the main event of Chavez and Jake Paul. I mean, look, it wasn't a horrendous fight. That was one that actually did manage to kind of see all the way through. Um, I mean, Jake Paul won handily, and you can kind of clearly see the improvements that he has made. There's some obviously hidden. I won't say he's a novice boxer anymore, but him still being a junior, a bit of a rookie in that sense. There's still certain flaws and tells that I've seen, especially in that fight. Even when Chavez was just literally tucking up for 7-8 rounds, there's certain parts I saw when I was like, okay, someone either better than Chavez or more willing to commit will take you out in certain things that you're doing. Um, but his movement pretty good. Obviously, this is him coming back down from the heavyweight division as well. So he moved pretty well. Showed a good beard in the last couple of rounds. Although don't know how hard Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. hits, especially these days, being up sort of 2 or 3 weights above where he regularly used to campaign. I'm not sure, but yeah. Look, ultimately, Jake Paul got the big win. Supposedly, he's now getting a top 10 or 15 ranking with the WBA and WBC. I mean, look, it's nasty work, but these sanctioning bodies, are we shocked? Would we be expecting anything different? We know exactly what their MO is and how they get down. So, you know, if they put him at 15, 14, that's fine, but no voluntary. They shouldn't be allowed a voluntary. He should have to at least take on someone that gets him ranked in the top 10 before being allowed to be selected for the voluntary. I know you can pick up to the first 15, but it just feels like it wouldn't be the right move to do that, in my personal opinion. But yeah, look, it's not really the type of week where I want to talk about technical breakdowns and how each person positioned and pivoted themselves in the ring. I think I picked Jake Paul on points on my predictions league. I picked Zerdo on points. I think I picked Rodriguez against Griffin as well, but don't quote me on that one. I'm not sure. Um, as I said, Tevin Farmer, Flo Schofield. I picked Schofield to win, but I picked him to win a split decision. Obviously, Deontay Wilder, I predicted the fight would end in a knockout. I think as everyone did, but obviously I was very, very, very off in terms of the round it took place. But I think overall, based on I think I did six, it was either 5 or 6 predictions over the weekend, and I believe I got them all right in terms of the victor, but methods was a bit touch and go. But yeah, look, that's pretty much the everything that kind of happened over the weekend. We obviously did get the breaking news of Haney and Brian Norman. We'll address that shortly. We'll talk about that. But I do have some comments here, so let me transition and see who's in the building, who's saying what, and then we'll get to the more casual side of this. Okay, so Philip Ransom, #1 in the building. As pretty much always, a shout out to you. Ahaja Selassie in the building as well. Big ups to you, King. Hope you are well. Man like Mulla Mulla in the building as well. Shout out to you. And you know what? I gotta rate Mulla Mulla because he could be at the cinema right now, just enjoying up the place, but he's here on the stream. Or maybe he just jumped in quickly just to say what's up, and then he's on his way to the cinema. Um, Speaking of cinema, Muller, we might do the casual on Thursday. I am free in the evening, so I'll possibly do it there. Friday, potentially, I may have something we could do as well. But I saw Megan 2.0 yesterday. I'm surprised that the concept actually held up compared to the first film. So I think you'll enjoy it. And it's a lot more action. The first one was more kind of horror-ish, but this one's more action. They've done the alien to aliens dynamic. So I think you'll like it if you haven't seen it already. Fight Fan TV live in the building. Salute to you, man. Like Danny Glover. Big ups, big ups. I'm gonna message you. Actually, no. I'll message you. I'll call you after the show. Need to just let you know a couple updates. Jam Down 187 in the building. Salute to you as well, my guy. Big ups, big ups. Veritas Ad Astra in the building. Salute to you. Salute to you. Always good to see familiar faces. Give him Hell Bell Jr. Yes, that's a nice name. Shout out to you. Yes, Space. Yes, big ups to you. I just call you Hell Bell. Jam Down says Chavez Jr. has done as good a job, if not a better job, at destroying the Chavez legacy as his father done trying to build it in the first place. Yeah, I hear you. I hear that. Apparently Megan 2.0 flopped. Well, it's only just come out over in the UK, so I don't know how long it's been out in the States. But whether it flopped or not doesn't deter from the fact that I actually think the film's good. If it has flopped, that just means that they didn't do a good enough job promoting it in terms of letting people know it was around. Because I guarantee you, when it goes on to Prime or Netflix or any of those services, it'll probably be in that number one spot for quite a bit of time. Mother says I'm locked in on fatherly duties. I hear that. I hear that. It's always respected, always admired. Salute to you, and salute to all the other kings in the chat holding it down, and any queens that are in the chat as well. Salute to all of you, and I hope everyone is doing well and doing fine. Now that we've transitioned, I want to bring attention before we even get into the proper isms and schisms of the situation. So as I was saying, we've got Mr. Will Fight, and why is it taking so long? And his prime target is obviously Mr. Oscar doesn't want me to fight the tough fights, or he doesn't want me to fight the fights that he can't control. It may be one of the other, because sometimes I definitely feel like Oscar is overly protective or hiding his fighters from people, especially like the Mexican ones. I mean, to be fair, as I've said before, when he's got an African American / black fighter, FBA, or anyone from that sort of realm, he's quite happy for them to take those tough fights. But there's Zepedas, the Ramirez's, the Navarretes and stuff. They always seem to be, for them, at the start especially, until they maybe get to that world championship level, very much in fights where they've got a lot of favorable advantages over their opponent. Whether their opponent's good or not is another story. But yeah, it very much seems like he will make the fight if he has sole control of the event. And probably that's because maybe then he can make sure that he's got the right judges that he wants, or the right atmosphere. Him and his team kind of just get to have the final say. They'd not end up having to be either yes men to another party, or basically having to bend to the will of someone else, having media commitments they don't want to do, but this person said nope, you have to do these because X, Y, and Z. I can imagine those are a lot of the reasons why um, Oscar De La Hoya pretty much refuses to have his people um, in cross promotional fights, unless he loses purse bids, of course. But yeah, that's a whole nother story. Um, but yeah, look, I think that one needs to happen. I think that one definitely needs to happen. Um, and the question will be, if it does happen, does Jai Opetaia wait around for the last belt to go fully undisputed, or will he just consider himself undisputed, taking on the consensus second best cruiserweight in the division, plus also having the Ring Magazine belt? Will he just feel like, oh, I've got three of the belts anyway. Plus, I've got the belt I really wanted, which was a WBO. Anyone who's seen my first interview with Jai will know why the WBO belt is of great meaning and value to him, even though he's never held it as a pro yet. Uh, Funny enough, the answer was better on the very first interview, the one that no one will ever see the light of day of. But I still have the footage. But yeah. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see kind of what they decide to do there. But again, happy birthday, especially like UK and stateside, to Jai Opetaia. And obviously, if you're watching from Australia or anyone there, sort of there, New Zealand, etc., it's happy belated to Jai. Okay. Now, so we have this recently been announced. Devin Haney versus Brian Norman Jr. Now, what will actually be interesting is whose name is going to go first on this. Will it be Norman Haney or will it be Haney Norman? Because I definitely think it's fair to say that Devin Haney is probably the bigger name or the bigger star. However, Brian Norman Jr. did get a lot of publicity off of the boots situation. And also, I guess now we're potentially having the knockout of the year against Jin Sasaki with a very large Japanese crowd watching, plus the people from the States and all the social media. Maybe he's now become the consensus bigger name of the two, because he gets the knockouts and Haney gets the unanimous decisions. So I guess it'll be interesting to see how that one kind of plays out. One thing I do want to address, and shout out to my boy Julius Ring IQ. He's probably not watching. I doubt anyone sending it to him, but if he is watching, I put and I say this, I've already put a comment on one of his videos, so he's kind of gonna know where I'm coming from when I say this. But in his last video, or was it the last one or the one just before that? Anyway, it's to do with Devin Haney. I think it was the last one, and he was basically really going hard on how much he wants Brian Norman Jr. to knock Devin out and stuff. And that's all well and good. I ain't got no problem with that. Like, obviously that's his prerogative. But he used to be, I don't know if I'll say he was a Devin fan, but he definitely was an admirer and he respected Devin. Now, this Ramirez fight seems to have properly changed his opinion, but to me, I look at it and I think he went overboard in the video, and maybe he was just doing it for the metrics. But in case he wasn't, my rebuttal to it is, and as I said on the video, like, whether Devin is your type of fighter or not, whether you think that he's or people call him a runner, track star, and all that sort of stuff. If we're being honest, that's only ever been one fight. The Ramirez fight is the only time we can look and see that Devin Haney like almost looked scared to engage, refused to engage, etc. If we look at the fight with Ryan Garcia, where he got knocked down 3 times, and in that fight he was still trying to exchange and trying to win rounds. And I still maintain that except for the rounds he got knocked down in and the very first round, he won all the others. I actually had him winning the fight on I think it was like 113, 112 or something like that. And obviously I understand if other people had it differently, cool. But I literally gave him every round apart from the first, and then the other 3 rounds that he got knocked down in. So But look, if you look at the Prograis fight, he wasn't running in the Prograis fight. He was quite competitive and engaging in that. The two George Kambosos fights, I mean, okay, he didn't do a huge amount, but like they weren't boring fights. The Lomachenko fight was a very good fight. The Linares fight was a good fight. The Gamboa fight was like a good fight. So was the um oh, what's that? Is it Russian? The Russian guy who broke his eye socket. I can't remember, but the Morant fight. Um, all of these fights, like he hasn't had many bad. He's had one bad fight. Now, granted, it was the last one, so it's the one you remember, and it was really bad. It was an absolute stinker. But I don't believe he like delivers that overall. And say what you want about Devin and the fights that like, but of all of these quote unquote the four Kings era that they gave us, he's the only one that was actually begging for all the fights. He called out Loma, obviously when he was mandatory. He called out Loma. He'd been called out Tank at the time. Called out Tio, and this Norman fight, he was supposed to be fight. He put his hand in the ring, his hat in the ring, and said, "I want to fight Tiafimo." Um, he wanted the Ryan Garcia rematch. Obviously, Ryan didn't win his fight, so that's up in the air for the time being. He wanted Tiafimo. Tiafimo's team negotiated the fight, and then Tiafimo decided and refused to sign for it. That's not Devin Haney fault. Um, now he's taking on the biggest puncher in the 147 division. Since Ennis has moved up. Now, does that mean that he's going to be very scary and run? I don't know, but there's not enough of a sample size of him doing that for me to believe that he is that's now who he is, or okay, he might be this outside fighter, but that he's not going to engage and he's just going to hold and spoil and make it an ugly fight. I don't agree with that. And as I said, almost every fight I've watched him in, it's been an entertaining fight. He's not been what he was in that very last one. And maybe that very last one was either one off, maybe it was just one of those, you know what, let's just get through this so that the big fight on the other side, we don't jeopardize anything. And if that's what the situation is, then I also have to say that, like, Turkey, Eddie, Frank, and everyone else, they kind of need to stop having these fight before the fights. Just make the people fight. If they win that fight, then you negotiate another one, or even if you draft up terms and say, okay, as soon as the fight's done, right, sign this. This is who we want you to fight next, and then maybe you have some dialogues and back and forths about that. But ultimately, when you have these fight before the fights, there's a lot of lackluster performances, and recently we've been seeing there's been a lot of upsets on it as well. So I would definitely like to see an end to that. The marination of fights, all that. If it's a good fight, just give it to us now. Because if it's that good, we'll watch it again later on down the line. Not everything has to be marinated, and to be honest, most fights don't need marination. Whether that's because they're just not big enough and you can't make them big enough no matter how much you wait, or there's too much of a jeopardy if you don't strike when the iron's hot. And I say all of that to kind of ramble on, but to say that Devin Haney deserves respect because out of that entire class, he's the only one that's actively asked for every opponent. That he wants the Ryan fight, he asked for the Tank fight, he asked for the Tiafimo fight. Now he's talking. Regis Prograis was arguably biggest puncher up at 140 at the time. Subriel Matias maybe will have something to say about that, but Devin comprehensively schooled him, beat him up in a very entertaining fight. Goes up again. Okay, Jose Ramirez definitely faded, but former world champion. Devin handled him 10-2, 11-1, 12-0 to some people. So as bad as it was, and now he's going for the legit champ of the division. Since obviously, like I said, Ennis is moving up. I just think he deserves a lot more respect. Um, Now, if you want to say, "Oh, I think he's an idiot," or I think he's a clown," or all that sort of stuff. Okay, cool. I can get behind that. I can understand if you don't like him on a personal level, or you don't like his dad, so by proxy you don't like him. But being like, "Oh, I hope I hope this other dude knocks him out." Bear in mind when the other dude is the one that has the history of making it difficult to make fights or using names for clout or anything like that. So yeah, I just thought the the segment was a bit overboard. But as I said, maybe that was just done to make sure that people engaged and people came back for the content afterwards. Who knows? Um, right, I know there's about a bunch of comments that have jumped in here, so let me get to those. Um, I still don't see Zerdo and Oscar fighting Jai. Well, yeah, I hear that. Emma Willis in the building. Shout out. Oscar is bad for boxing. He's the Mexican Al Heyman. He won't put on fights. I hear that. Um, he's currently got 3 world champions, and his star fighter is challenging. Oh, and his star fighter is challenging, so you can see why fights don't get made. Yep. Um, Oscar, last year Jake is fighting Mike Tyson and making a mockery of the sport. Oscar this year, so yeah, I hear it. You just don't like sugarfoot boxers. Uh, yeah, I hear that, but even that, like that whole sugarfoot thing, Devin isn't one of those. It was one performance, and even then, like sometimes the person's on the outside or they move a bit, but there's quite a few of these quote unquote sugarfoot fighters that still knock man out legitimately and have good performances. So you know, I mean, at one point, Dimitri Bivol was considered a sugarfoot fighter, like an outside fighter, even though that wasn't actually his style. But he was considered that, and now he's more of that pendulum step, that pressure fighter type guy. So yeah, um, people go way overboard in their hate for Haney. He had one bad fight, and it's after the BS with Ryan, and the year out, he deserves some grace, surely. Yeah, I agree. I think so. And it's still mad that whether it's because of Bill Haney or not, I don't know. Again, shout out to Bill. Actually, I'm gonna get him on the channel. I'm gonna try and do it for next week if I can, to coincide with the Ring Free card. But yeah, like whether it's that or not, he still, it's still crazy that he got all the heat and all the abuse after the Ryan fight, even after Ryan failed the tests and got banned. But Haney was still the villain. Um, do you reckon his dad might also be a problem? I mean, look, yes, a lot of the thing is, I've seen more recently as to why people don't like Bill Haney or don't like sort of his style. But prior to when Devin beat Lomachenko, I don't think people were too, the hate for Bill and Devin was as bad. I think maybe after Lomachenko and that the undisputed thing, I think maybe Bill was a bit more emboldened. And they used to have Church, the preacher, with them as well. I haven't seen him for a while, so I don't know if he's still a part of the camp. But yeah, I mean, Bill doesn't help the situation, but by the same token, neither does Brian Norman Sr. or Floyd Schofield Sr. Like a lot of these, the boxing dads are problematic. Even George Kambosos' dad, who we used to actually say was pretty decent, he's become a bit of a problem. Tiafimo Lopez Sr. as well. Um, Ironically enough, a lot of the boxing, like the boxer dads that we have that are problematic, all seem to have the same name as their sons. So literally, like they're, obviously Bill and Devin, no, but all the others are seniors and juniors. So it's almost like, are they proper trying to live vicariously through their child because they gave them the same name. I don't know. Very That's something I only just thought about. So maybe I gotta take a little look into that. People use their hate for Bill as an excuse to hate on Devin. Tio and Ryan dads are horrible. They don't get the hate Haney gets. Yeah, very true. It's very Ryan's dad definitely probably should get more than he does, but everyone gives Ryan the bly because of the quote unquote mental health and the bipolar and whatever else. So he's always been Haney the hated. Shout out to Star Fox WR45E. Big ups to you. And he's bigging up the chat as well. uh, okay, Allah Selassie has bigged him. And here we go with the response. Ja Rastafari. Blessings. Blessings on blessings to everyone. Like I said, all the kings in the building, salute to you. All the queens as well. Honestly, Devin is not interesting enough for the level of hate he gets. It's strange, really. Yeah, I mean, I hear that as well. It all started with the push on Loma, from what I remember, and calling out Tank Davis. Had Tank fanboys in their feeling. Possibly. You still looking to have Bill and oh yeah, 100%. To be honest, I should have done it already. I just got to find a good time to call him and figure out what his schedule is. Because if for nothing else, like Bill can clear up some stuff, and obviously you guys know if I've got someone on the channel, I'm gonna ask the questions that need to be asked. Like I don't really, I'm not gonna do the cooker cutter, all that sort of stuff. I'm gonna talk the talk. So I'm gonna call him. Not this week. Maybe I said maybe over the weekend. See if I can arrange for him to come on next Tuesday or Thursday. Yeah. Emma, how did you manage to pay a compliment with a disrespectful comment? And I'm telling you, Emma is elite. I need to meet Emma in person. She needs to let me know the next event that she's at, and I'm gonna hope to try and get some media. I'll get her a ringside pass as well if I have to, because she is next level. Right, Canelo and Ryan didn't get much criticism for their performances that weekend, only Haney. Yeah, I mean, look, admittedly, Haney's performance, and I think maybe it's because Haney won the fight in such a horrible manner, whereas with Canelo, his performance was bad, but he wasn't the one that didn't come to make it a fight in that sense. Whereas, Haney enacted that. Yeah, but it wasn't. Yeah, it was very, very disproportionate. People don't like Haney because of the flashy stuff, but you can't deny his talent. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that whole thing. I got to admit, and look, it's your money. Do your thing. Like you're young. I get it. 26. Like live your life and all that. But the whole buying a new Rollie or buying an AP after every win and all that stuff, and then doing it on the socials and it's like, alright, cool. If you want to buy it, you can buy it, but you don't. That's not something you necessarily have to be documenting. Like you can do other things to document how rich you are, rather than that. I'm gonna be real, but that's him. Skull came off worse, I think. Nobody wants to see him fight ever again. Yeah, there's that. But I think part of that is because he also doesn't speak English, so it's quite easy to kind of just throw him to the background. And he's Cuban. He's a German-based Cuban fighter. There's a lot of factors there to just not have him ever seen again in the mainstream. Whereas Devin has more of a presence, and obviously, like I said, Bill is on socials. Bill is on job. Like he's constantly, talking and singing out the praises of his son. So that will always kind of get you opportunities. And because he's still got that technically now, after the no contest, he's still an interesting scalp. And a lot of these guys at 147 are going to be seeing him as easy money for a big profile. It's only a new age dad and maybe Nigel Benn who aren't as outspoken. Yeah, I can say that. I hear that. Uh, Ricky Hatton doesn't speak much either. Maybe because there isn't much to talk about with Campbell. I mean, yeah, that's possible. I said the less said about that guy, the better. Um, that's the Floyd influence with the flashy bling. But I hear it. Oh yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I understand where it comes from, but it's just. But at least, but Floyd used to do like creative things with the cash. He would have he'd have the money phone, and he'd spell. He'd just be casually going around just counting bricks of cash at courtside or stuff. Like, okay, cool. Those, yeah, they're still corny, but they're inventive. Just the constant, oh, I'm gonna get a new AP. Like, you've got one wrist. At most, if you was like really simping, you could maybe wear three watches at a time. But anytime I've seen Devin, not anytime, but it's very rare that I see him wearing most of wearing the watches. So, like, obviously, yeah, I get timepieces and I'm one to talk because I buy pure things that I've never worn, watches, trainers, whatever. Then they're just in the boxes, just fresh and never touched them, and I've all got them like 9, 10 years later, still ain't worn them. So I can understand that, but yeah, it's a lot of money to be doing, to be honest. Um, Shout out to Tony in the building as well. Big ups to you. I may have to cut this one off a bit quick. Not right now, but I can hear the dogs downstairs making up noise. So bear with me a few moments. If I do jump off, I will let you guys know. Like German Cuban, I bet his passport is the most efficiently forged of all. Speaking of age gaps, big up Tony. Oh mate, the chat, good stuff. It's good stuff in the chat. But yeah, let's see. Devin likes fashion, and as a tailor, I can't be mad at his attempts to flaunt fashion. Well, well, I mean, okay, I hear you. I like a different perspective, so thank you very much for actually providing that. That's you know, although I would say that some of his fashion tastes are very questionable. I will have to say that, but yeah. Trainers is my addiction. I've got trainers I've purchased years ago. There's not good. Oh yeah, 100%. Although to be fair, I've been a lot better with that recently. I've actually I sold quite a few of the ones that even though I really wanted to keep them, I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna wear them, and I haven't done as much, but I've still probably got about 70 plus pairs in my house, and of the 70, I've probably worn maybe 20 of them. So um, yeah. Right, guys, stick around for me. I'm gonna be back in a couple minutes. I just need to go check on this pup. I will be right back. Hold on.
Nutty on the buttons. Nutty on the buttons. Nutty on the buttons.
Thank you for being patient there, people. Apologies about that. Yeah, looks like he's all right now. Where was we? Yeah, so yeah, obviously we was talking about the Devin hate and all of that stuff, but more so than that, as you guys can see from the background, and as we're about to see from the overlay, I mean, this is a very, very dangerous task for a guy like Devin. I mean, look, Norman isn't the I guess we can't say he's quote unquote proven at that world level, but his last 3 fights have all been highly impressive. So, you know, I mean, look, with that being said, we got to rate it. And I guess I want to know realistically, how much of a chance do you give Devin in that fight? Like, do you think he can win it, or do you think that's just one of those fights he kind of had to take, and maybe not so much a cash out fight, but that could be like the end of him as we know him afterwards? It'd be interesting to see. And or will we be seeing this at the end of the fight, like, all right, what does they hate me now? Be interesting. Let's find out. All right, so let me go back to all of these. Okay, so trainer addiction, yeah, we got that. I look at hot couture as strange fashion, and Devin could be the poster child. I hear that. He's bless up all the chat. Think Devin is living his childhood dream. American culture perpetuates that way of life. I mean, yeah, there's that as well. I'm gonna say big up Tony. Um, and yes, let's all hit the like button. Please do so if you haven't already done so. And if you are watching on the old Twittex, please move over to the YouTube so you can hit that like and subscribe. You need to get those numbers up. I need to do more content. I'm not gonna lie, I do, but we need to get those numbers up. Star Fox, the American dream. What a load of nonsense. How you feeling about Eze coming Arsenal? Oof. Oh, we're bringing that kind of talk into the chat, yeah. Lavish lifestyle and showing off boring stuff. Yeah, I hear it. Man like North Bank, Brennan in the building. Salute to you. Whether early or late, always on time. Much appreciated. Emma, don't we see that in all big earners being bling? FAFO. Okay, I don't know what that means, but I know what this one is. Yeah, YOLO. I hear that. Philip Answer 50% for Devon to be able to win against Brian Norman. That's a good percentage. No big earners, flash cash, just these guys that come into a few millions. I mean, there is that as well. You know, like you don't ever see man like Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg or even Donald Trump or any of these guys walking around talking about bust down APs and glittery diamonds all over the place. Like, yeah, I mean, I hear it. It's only a certain demographic of people that have to show you that they got money. Hey, money is money. Not that impressive after a while, but boxers earn big and don't show off like that. AJ Bivol, Anyway, and Katie. I mean, yeah, as I said, certain demographic. I read Eze as Easy E and will continue to do so. That's Gen X slang. What FAFO? Okay. Thanks for letting me know that one. You must need to know the reach difference between them, but I'll always side with the better boxer. I actually think that Norman Jr.'s got the longer reach. He's taller. I don't know by how much, but I think he's like an inch taller than Devin. I don't know. Penthouse in Trump Tower, probably 90% gold. Okay, maybe, but I doubt that anyone just randomly gets to see it. That might just be his indulgence for that. But I hear it. I mean, you never know. Have you seen any match? No, I know that they're gonna. I know that they're gonna debut some new stuff at the press conference on Thursday. But are they showing it? It must be on the socials. Alright, let me go get my phone. One sec. I actually don't know if it is. I just assumed. Oh, boo, Philip. Alright, let's take a look at this Matchroom logo. Matchroom. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's not. I mean, I can see what they're trying to go for North Bank, but yeah, that logo is it's not it. You pay the money, you get the player. And 1-1, IIB or 1-1B. Yeah, I see it. The technical matchroom boxing. Yeah, I see it. It's not good. Trump shows off, just not with gold chains and watches. Well, yeah, I mean, look, any of those guys, when they stunt, it's normally they'll just go out and acquire a company off whim, or they'll do something like that. Like they're most of the time, their stunting affords them opportunities to make even more money. Whereas man like Devin stunt on things that will depreciate. Because most of those watches he's got ain't holding their value, especially after you rock them up and you bust them down and all that stuff. Like they keep their value in their pure form, a bit like gold. Like when you have a bar of gold bullion, the value is maintained. When you start doing shit to it, is when you lose it. So not a great logo, to be honest. Not really. Yeah, I didn't really. Even though obviously I kind of got it just because Matchroom and boxing, but yes, you're right. It's not very clear at all. I don't know who signed off on that. Ah, okay. Shout out to Star. Okay, so him and Tony from same generation. Actually, no, that because that wouldn't make sense to what he was saying in the. Although that is a good use of the abbreviation, I'll give you that. And your reaction says everything. Yeah, that wasn't good. I don't like the black background. I hear it. I hear it, Philip. Um, does Devin get to be the A side and get the second walk to the ring? But that's what I was actually asking earlier. Is it going to be Haney Norman or is it going to be Norman Haney? Um, I mean, I guess Devin was he did take the B side, even though he was, I guess, the B side, but against Cambosis, the first fight, it was Cambosis Haney. So, I mean, yeah, but he did get the A side against Prograde. But I don't know because I just got a feeling Brian Norman Senior ain't gonna let his son's name be second on the poster when he's the champ. That's how I kind of see it. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's how it plays out. They are all having rocket ship show-offs. Oh man, said I googled it. All right, I hear that. Devin about to be watching eagerly right now at the jury have agreed a verdict out of 4 out of 5 Diddy charges. Oh mate, yeah, that's something we might have to get into in the next one. Not right now though. Um, if I was the same age as Tony, I'd get a Cuban passport. Not gonna. Oh mate. No, one thing though. So this dog's gonna be at home tomorrow. I'm not in. I gotta go into the office, but I don't want to hear no complaints from him about he's hot or he don't want to go out or bare panting and stuff. Because I bought him two over the last 2 days. I bought him two cooling mats. The first one, he was fine with the first day, but he chomped it earlier on today. Now all the flipping gel's coming out of it, so I can't use it. And he just started chomping the second one. So yeah, I can't. I don't want to hear no complaints from this youth about he's hot tomorrow or looking at me with that cool me down. Nope, like you be hot. Norman is a defending champion, so from my opinion, he should be a side. I also just had the highlight real KO that I agree with. Tank too, yeah. Did you see Bob call him a track star? Yeah, I did. I mean, look, Bob's obviously he's back in his fighter, so I get it, and it was funny, and obviously that starts and that helps to drum up the promotion. Um, but I guess Bob didn't think he was a track star when he had him signed, and he was doing the undisputed fights on the top rank. Surprised Bob loaned him out to Turkey considering their broadcast situation, but to be honest, they wanted him to take the Boots fight. Maybe he doesn't care about him like that. Yeah, I think he's one of those ones that they ain't really trying to put the money up against. Like they'll use him if he's there, or they'll hand him out because he's a commodity. But in terms of the money that they're asking for, I think it's that. Plus the fact he doesn't have the broadcast deal. Maybe there's something in the contract which says you've got to get me out every 4 months, every 4 to 5 months, and if he didn't have the dates, you know. But you can tell because Brian Norman, when he won the title, he wasn't expected to beat Santillan. Like, so he's probably just one of those ones where Bob just kind of had in the background. Doesn't really think he'd be a star like that, but he'll be useful to the roster. The Devin that beat Kambosos can beat most boxers, including Norman. I mean, I hear that. I definitely hear that. Is that Devin still there? I mean, to be fair, I can't say we haven't seen him since then. We saw that same one, a better version, in the Prograis fight. So, wonder what the hell is happening with Tio. I need to see him lose again. Well, he's rejecting fights. Devin's fighting Norman because Tio turned down the fight. So, I guess that's what he's doing right about now. Bob calling somebody a track star when he's almost ready for a Zimmer frame is crazy. When it comes to Saudis, the promoter happy to just take their fee and loan them out. Yeah, I mean, you get that fee, you don't pay anything towards it. Makes sense. Norman doesn't have any fans, so maybe if he beats Devin, they can do something with him. Yeah, there's that as well. We've got about 5-10 minutes left, and then I'm gonna have to shoot off. I've got to get up early for gym tomorrow before the dog walk. So, but I had to jump on today and try to get things back to their regular normal times because we haven't had a Tuesday casual stream in a while. And I figured since we didn't do the weekend wrap, it made sense to kind of combine them both into one. Because I really should have done it. Like I had the opportunity to do it, just other things kind of took my my attention. What is this? Tio versus Hitchens is the fight for both of them. Yeah, I mean, in terms of that'll be a fight that's a lot better outside the ring than it is in. Like the build up will be good. I don't know if he does 5K tickets in Atlanta. It'll be interesting. Is Harlem Eubank welter? What do you think? Him versus Norma Jr. Well, he says that if he beats Jack Catterall, he said that's kind of the fight he'd be sort of looking at next. I'm assuming he reckons that one's easier to make than a Manny Pacquiao or Mario Barrios opportunity. Harlem is not good. Watching the main event and definitely skipping the Sky fight. Oh, not watching the main event. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know that fight. I don't know how that fight can. It doesn't look like the kind of fight that will be enjoyable. Although the Sky Nicholson fight, I can understand why you skip it, but I feel like she's gonna almost try to come out of a different style now that she knows that she can't just use that outside boxing all the time anymore. So she might be a bit more aggressive. Carroll versus Eubank on the 5th. Is that legit? If so, who you got base? Well, basis picks be out on Friday, and it will be out on Friday because I'm actually working from home, so I will do it during the day. Uh, yeah, so I can't give you my prediction right now, but what I will say is I don't think you'll be surprised at who I pick and the method. Oh, we know who Emma's got. How mad is it talking about Manny Pacquiao in 2025? I know, real pinch me moment, but it's there. Catterall is underwhelming. He just doesn't throw. Yeah, he's just too economic. And it's funny because I was watching him on the what they call it, the make the days count thing. He's saying, oh yeah, like it was it wasn't a shot. It was a very nip and tuck fight with Barbosa. I thought I was nicking the rounds, but I'm like, you're at home. Why are you trying to nick the rounds? Go out there and show man that your level's above him. And that mentality, I wasn't quite a fan of it at the time when I heard it. So, Tony, I just saw the Matchroom boxing logo on X, very different. Yep. They've clearly paid big money for the rebrand. Well, in that particular case, I will say that's not money well spent. And Emma's just co-signed it. They got scammed. That's definitely an Emperor's New Clothes type logo right there. Tony, you reckon? Looks like an AI job to me. That's an interesting take. All right, we're winding it down, ladies and gentlemen. Last couple comments coming in. Bringing back Pacquiao is like Hollywood bringing back old actors who played iconic roles. Yeah, but the difference is those actors are not trying to compete with their younger selves in those films. They're normally like the wise old sage that gives advice to the next young, hungry star. Um, okay, yeah, discussions. Let me see. So, what else of tomorrow? Am I going to get a chance to make any episodes or any other content? Probably not, but I will try my best. Actually, I know I'm going out to. I'm going to see Jurassic World tomorrow. So yeah, probably not tomorrow. Not in the new F1 movie. Yeah, but that movie's cold still. A shout out, Expendables in boxing. It's a good one. Uh, Thursday, I think we might have to do a movie chat. It's been a while. Might get Muller to come on the channel and just chop it up about a couple films. And then Friday we will have the regular basis picks. Maybe I might get a chance to do an episode or something on Saturday. Possibly a watch along, but I'm not 100% sure about that one. I'll be real. Philip, but casting then as lead role in the Marvel superhero movie. Right. All right. So yeah, last one. Anyone who is watching on Twittex, please jump over to the YouTube and smash that like button, smash that subscribe, share it with a friend if you do feel the need to do so. Appreciate it. Anyone, if you are watching on YouTube and you haven't hit that like button, please do so. Please help me with my algorithm. Please help me get some more subscribers to the channel, so that I can start the members only section back fully again, like how it was, doing that content. Again, my time is very limited, but I will make the time for you guys that have obviously made the time and the effort for me. It's always appreciated. Base, you watched the latest Squid Game season? Yes, I have. I was watching it, but I kept falling asleep through certain parts. But I finished it today as I was finishing up at work. I had a pretty short day, so yeah, I watched it. I was surprised at how it ended, but then I wasn't surprised. I kind of saw certain bits, but I like how it ended, and it will be the last one. So they're not going to try and do another season. They said that will be it, but they're doing an American version, so you know that they'll do bare different seasons of that. But yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see how it goes. I was disappointed. Should have left it as a standalone. No, I hear it. I definitely hear that. And that was supposed to be the case, but because it blew up, they said, "All right, cool, let's get it." But like I said, the American one's gonna have pure in there. But anyway, with that being said, look, I've got to jump off. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe. I will catch you on the next one. We'll do something later on in the week. But yeah, thank you very much. It's always appreciated. Love for that. And for right now, the weekend's all wrapped up. I guess that's a hardcore casual out. So till the next one. Peace.
Maybe I'ma make it, maybe I'm not. In time we'll see. But who better than me? I don't care if you agree. I ain't saying that I'm better than anyone. But who better than me?